Hello everyone, and welcome back to the channel. I really hope that you guys are enjoying my take on how the Pokemon Journeys anime should have gone. But before we get into part 2 today, I'm going to need you to take a look at this analytical stat bar right here. You guys already know the drill. Hit the like button, turn on notifications, so you'll never miss another upload of the Ronin Charizard channel. But with all that being said, let's get into part 2 of my take on what if Ash won the Pokemon World Championships. I hope you enjoy. We pick right back up where we left off in the previous part. Pikachu is at odds with his teammate, the mythical Melmetal, who has grown to the size of a building. The two clash, throwing all energy they have at one another. Though small, it seems Pikachu is even with the colossal Pokemon. That is, until Melmetal swells with more energy. Suddenly, what was an even battle turns south, with the liquid metal pushing more energy into its attack. Now Pikachu is overwhelmed, being forced into the ground below. It's cratered at the feet of Melmetal. Ash rushes to the side of his starter, as Go watches, unsure of what to do. Pikachu, Ash yells, "Are you okay?" Ash's other Pokemon come to his aid, as they watch Melmetal begin to step away. "No, we can't let it go," the silent boy yells in a panic. "Well, we can't exactly stop it," Ash responds. "Me and Pikachu gave it all we had to beat it, and look where that got us." "Well, we have to do something," Go yells. "There is a village that way, and your Pokemon could wipe it out." A look of fear crosses Ash's face. One of his Pokemon responsible for the destruction of a village? He can't let that happen. Picking up his mouse, Ash tells his Pokemon that they have to stop Melmetal. They must do whatever it takes. Getting to work, the worn-down team does what they can to take down the Goliath. Unfortunately, this is of little consequence, as the giant-sized Titan treks inland. All seems lost. That is, until a familiar call breaks the fear. "I need your assistance!" A flash grabs the attention of the two young trainers, as three elemental golems appear in front of the duo. At the command of these three legendaries, someone Ash is very familiar with comes into view. "Brandon!" the young champion yells. "Ash, stand back. We'll handle this," the king says. At his command, Regice, Regirock, and Registeel begin their assault, hitting with all they have. This is enough to stop Melmetal, as it looks for the nonsense pest that dares challenge it. It's here that Ash joins Brandon, asking him not to hurt Melmetal. They need to distract it long enough for the Dynamax to run out. "That's easier said than done," Brandon declares as he points. Though formidable, his three Titans are being overwhelmed quickly. They pale in comparison to this supercharged Melmetal. "Well, we just need time," Go says. "If you look, Ash's attack did something. It sped up the clock. Melmetal is moving slower. The time is almost up on the transformation." "Well, if it's time we need, then I have just the thing," Brandon says as he readies another Pokemon. "Is that what I think it is?" Ash asks with a smile. Brandon declares, "Regigigas, I need your assistance." The leader of the Titans emerges in all of its brilliance, much to the awe of Ash and the shock of Go. "Who is this guy?" "He's Brandon," Ash says, "the strongest of all of the Frontier Brains, and the master of the Titans of Hoenn." "Just watch," Ash says, as Brandon masterfully wields these legendary Pokemon as if they were just first stage evolutions. They bend to his every whim. Go was amazed and hopeful. If this trainer can catch these legendaries, then maybe I can catch mine too. However, his lone thought is brought to a stop when the struggle ends. With one last surge of energy, Melmetal reverts to its original form, collapsing under its own weight. Ash rushes to its side, making sure it's okay. Although it's exhausted, with some rest and TLC, Melmetal will be alright. Ash recalls it, and the rest of his Pokemon as well, while thanking Brandon for his help. If he hadn't been here, then who knows what could have happened. "Anytime, Ash. It was a pleasure to see how strong you've become. Taking on three legendaries like that was very impressive." It's at this point, two things happened. Pikachu wakes up, looking for its trainer. "Well, buddy, you gave me quite the scare. It seems we need a little bit more practice with the 10 million Volt Thunderbolt if we want to master it." Pikachu nods, but this moment of relief is interrupted when Go tells Ash and Brandon they have company. The two trainers turn their gaze only to be met with the sight of the previous threat, the three Galarian birds that this started with. Brandon tells his Regis to be ready for battle as their new enemies begin their assault. However, their movement is suddenly stopped by a cry that echoes from the sea. The force of it can be felt in the bones of our heroes. This cry, Ash thinks. I've heard it before Before Ash can question it, the storm of the coast rages as a mighty figure emerges from beneath the waves. Clad in a silver down, Lugia flies over the battlefield, singing its calming song. Suddenly, the rage that was felt from Articuno, Zapdos, and Moltres subsides. Then, as if nothing ever happened, the three run off into the frozen tundra, vanishing with the wind. With one final moment, Ash and Lugia share a brief look before the master of the bird trio takes back to its sanctuary beneath the waves. "That was amazing," Go says. "Who are you people?" Ash, "What was that just now with Lugia?" But this falls on deaf ears as Brandon and Ash are in full conversation. This makes Go feel like a third wheel, like he's inadequate. Well, he'll show them once he gets his first Pokemon Mew. Then they won't be able to ignore him. It's here that Go listens to Brandon and Ash talk. Oh, so they know each other, like they're old friends or something. But Go doesn't want to interrupt, as the conversation they have is fascinating. Brandon goes on to tell Ash that he's here in the Crown Tundra due to some rumors of new legendary Pokemon that would suit his style of battling, as he recalls his defensive titans. "So Brandon, you caught Regigigas?" Ash questions. "I did, and it was actually it that brought me to this part of the world. For months, it's been uneasy, like it's been looking for something. This urge and the rumors have fueled our search for these missing links." "That's quite the story," Ash says. "Well, whatever the reason, I'm glad you were here to help us," as he points to Go. This prompts Brandon to turn his focus to the boy that did nothing. "You there," Brandon points, causing Go to stiffen up out of fear. "Yes, sir," he says, standing at attention. What's with your friend?" Brandon asks, to which Ash replies, "Actually, I don't even know this person." "Well, he certainly is strange." Brandon then asks what his name is, to which Go responds. The king then inquires if he knows of any place nearby that Ash and his Pokemon can be healed. "Well, there is Freezington," Go says. "Professor Cerise's lab is there, and I'm sure he can help." "Well, I think it would be imperative we get your Pokemon some medical attention, don't you, Ash?" "Yeah, I think you're right, Brandon. Pikachu and Melmetal especially." "Well, that's a ways away," Go says. "I left the lab 4 days ago just to get this far." "Oh, that won't be a problem, young man. I have that covered," Brandon says. Go watches as a giant pyramid comes into view and lands just outside the area of the tree. "Shall we?" the king says. Ash smiles. "Let's get going. Pikachu and the others could use a good rest." The two begin to board while Go watches. "Hey, Go, you coming?" Ash says. "You're the only one that knows the way." "Oh, right," the young researcher says, as he runs to catch up. With a mighty blast from its fans, the battle facility takes to the air, and before Go knows it, they are touching down just outside of Freezington. As Ash and Go depart, Brandon tells them to be careful. He may not be there the next time. Ash smiles. "Don't worry, next time we'll be ready." Then the two tired boys wave by as the battle pyramid takes flight, heading back into the Crown Tundra. Go tells Ash to follow him. They aren't far from the lab. Ash begins to take a step when a strange feeling stops him. Ash spots something out of the corner of his eye. However, when he looks, there seems to be nothing. Then Ash's attention is broken when Go calls to the trainer. "Earth to Ash, it's this way." "Oh, right, sorry about that." With the final look, Ash and Go head into town. It's not long until they find themselves in the warmth of Cerise Labs, where Ash and his Pokemon can get some much-needed food and rest. It's here that Go divulges the whole story of the day to the professor, with Ash filling in the gaps from his experiences on how he ended up here. "Wow, that's some story," Cerise says. "Go, it looks like you were able to finish your assignment as well." This catches Ash's attention. "What assignment?" he asks. Cerise explains that Go is his research assistant and was tasked with finding out why Articuno, Zapdos, and Moltres were becoming wild as of late. "But it looks like the fruit of the tree was the cause," Cerise says, as he holds up one that Go brought back. While loading the data that Go had recorded from the battle into the main computer, he remarks that Ash and his Pokemon didn't really make it easy. This triggers Ash a little bit. "Hey, it's not our fault the birds attacked us. If anything, we tried to save you," Ash yells. "Well, if that's your idea of saving, then I would have rather taken my chances in the wild," Go responds. The two continue to argue until Cerise is forced to break it up with the help of his daughter Chloe, although she doesn't really address her dad. Only Go, telling him he's dumb for picking a fight he can't win. Cerise tries to talk to Chloe, but she just walks off, ignoring her father. "So she's still mad?" Ash asks. "Yeah, she won't talk to me at all. It's like I don't even know her anymore." "Yeah, that can be a pain, but I'm sure it won't last forever," Ash says. "I hope not," Cerise replies. The whole reason we came here was so I could study the abundance of legendary and mythical Pokemon that appear in the Crown Tundra. I was hoping that Chloe would be as excited as me, like when she was younger, but I guess not. It's here that Cerise realizes they had another breakthrough. Go, the bird trio. You said they responded to the song of Lugia, right? Yeah, it was the strangest thing. It's like they were calmed by it. Fascinating, Cerise replies. Who would have thought that they would have ties to the Master of the Oceans? Well, it doesn't surprise me, Ash says. If they are anything like the Kanto versions, then they should respond to Lugia's cries. What do you mean? Cerise inquires. Ash goes on to tell the two about an adventure he had in the Orange Islands a few years back. The world's climate was thrown out of whack, and he had to team up with Lugia to save the three elemental birds. This statement captures Cerise's full attention as Ash tells the story. By the end, the professor tells Go that he has his next assignment. He is to go to the Orange Islands and see this shrine. Find out if there's anything there on Lugia and its connection to the birds, or if there is any mention of the Galarian counterparts. But I don't even know where to begin, or how to get there, Go replies. Well, Ash does, Cerise says. That is, if he would be so kind as to show you the way. Ash doesn't seem to have a problem with this. It's been a long time since he's even thought about the Orange Islands. Maybe a quick trip there would do him and his Pokemon some good. Sure, Professor, I can show Go. I think it would be a lot of fun. However, Go is the exact opposite. He refuses to work with this kid. He doesn't know who Ash thinks he is, but Go doesn't like him one bit. It's here that Ash points out that it was his Pokemon that saved him, since Go doesn't have a Pokemon. So it might be a good idea if they travel together till he gets one. Go refuses, saying that his first Pokemon will be Mew and no other. Here we go again, Cerise says. Go, I keep telling you that Mew is a Mirage Pokemon. They are very rare, and no one even knows where they live. Well, I do, Ash says. What? Go yells. There's no way. While Cerise is intrigued. Really, Ash? And how would you know this? Ash tells the professor about a time that he was in the Kanto battle frontier. He made a really good friend who had to go away, but that friend was able to save not only Mew, but the place it called home. Now Go's full attention is on Ash, hanging on his every word. You, Go screams. You must take me to this place you speak of. Sure, Ash says. But what about the Orange Islands? Turning to the professor, Go asks if he can check out the home of Mew after he's done his assignment. Cerise tells him that he can, but only on one condition. Go, you're Chloe's best friend. Do you think you can talk to her? I was supposed to take her back to Vermilion City this coming week for a check-in at her school, but I'm behind in my work here at the lab, so I was hoping that you can convince her to go with you guys. That is, if Ash doesn't mind. Sure, he says. I don't mind, but Professor, I think it would be better if Chloe heard this from you. The silence between the two of you can't last forever, Ash says. I suppose you're right, Ash. I can't keep putting it off. Cerise says he will talk to her. Hopefully she'll respond, since she hasn't said a word to me in weeks. It's at this point that Ash asks the professor if he has any way to contact home. He would like to swap out some of his Pokemon. Oh yes, of course. But I would like to ask a favor. Could you leave Melmetal here for a while, Ash? From the brief shot of the battle that Go brought back, I can tell that your Melmetal may have ties to the Galar region. Really, Ash says? Why do you think that? Well, you see, when a Dynamax happens, normally the Pokemon just grows in size, but its appearance doesn't really change. You notice how your Melmetal did? Well, I think that's because it didn't Dynamax, but Gigantamaxed. That's when a Pokemon that has been exposed to the energies of the Galar region for a long time takes on a different form. So, you think Melmetal may be tied to the Galar region? Ash says. Yes. So, with your permission, I would like to study it. I don't have a problem with it, but you should really ask Melmetal, Ash says. With that, he lets the metal goo out of its ball and explains what's going on, to which it really doesn't have a problem with this request, as it spent months with Professor Oak and his studies. Ash then has a thought. To give Melmetal some company, he'll leave Mimey here too. It's really good with housework, Ash points out, to which Chloe's mother is more than happy to have help with. With that settled, Cerise takes his leave to go talk with Chloe, while Ash makes his call, while Go listens in, kind of like he's spying on Ash. Now, Ash actually has 3 calls to make. Their first one is to his mom to explain what's going on with Mimey, to which Delia is fine with. It will do Mimey some good to leave home for a while. The next is to Professor Oak. Ash sends Corphish to exchange it for another one of his OG Pokemon, Totodile. He then also requests that Charizard be sent over, as the young trainer doesn't want to get caught without a Pokemon he can ride ever again, especially if he's going to be over the ocean. He then sends Scraggy for Snivy, just in case he needs some grass power. With that, Ash tells Oak that he'll be back in Kanto in a few weeks, and then hangs up the phone. Then his final call is to Alola, specifically Professor Kukui. While the phone does get answered, it's not by who Ash expected. The Rotom Dex picked it up. What Ash sees is pure pandemonium in the background, as Kukui seems to be rushing about, only stopping to acknowledge Ash, then saying he's gotta go. Burnett and he has to hurry, and then something about water. This just leaves a very puzzled Ash and Rotom Phone on the call. Ash then asks Rotom Phone if he has the ability to transfer Pokemon to him, to which it confirms that it's one of its abilities. It's here that Ash makes a request for Lycanroc to be sent over. With the brief wait, as Rotom had to go find the doggo, the transfer was made, and Ash hangs up the phone. This just leaves Gible and Pikachu as the only Pokemon that Ash didn't change out, which he is fine with, as Ash would still like to do more training with the Dragon type. With all of his exchanges done, Ash then turns to be met with Go, to which he's a little put off by this. Ever since Ash mentioned Mew and his connections to it, this kid has not let him out of his sight. And it's only been 10 minutes, but the awkwardness of the situation is broken when the professor comes back with Chloe. So, are you guys ready? While they seem to have made some progress, the way the professor asks seems to suggest he's still walking on eggshells. Sure, we can head out first thing in the morning, Ash says. Good. Now you guys are going to head north to a city called Winden. From there, you're going to head to the seas in the east and catch a boat that heads to the Orange Islands on its stop to the Unova region. Ash smiles. Okay, well, that sounds like a plan. I can't wait to show you guys these places. They're really exciting. Go is still apprehensive of Ash and mutters, "We'll see," under his breath while walking away. Chloe, on the other hand, is a bit more excited that she will get the chance to return home to Kanto. She sees Ash as the catalyst for this, so she is very friendly with him. This is shown when later that night she tells Ash a little bit about Go and an experience he had when he was younger. They got lost in a forest, and Go had to protect her. He had made sure that they were safe, even fending off a swarm of Beedrill when they had attacked them for entering their territory. This moment is a little hazy for me, but Go swears that it was Mew that saved us. Ever since then, he's been determined to see Mew again. I see, Ash says. Well, he could be a little bit nicer when he talks to people. Usually he is, but when someone who proves to be more competent than he comes around, Go gets defensive. And you also mentioned having been to the home of Mew, which I'm sure he isn't too happy about, as it's been his dream to visit a place like that. Also, Go hasn't had a lot of friends since he's claimed to see Mew. Most kids in Vermilion would pick on him, so it ended up just being me and him a lot of the time. I see, Ash says. Well, I'm not looking to start any trouble with him, but he needs to be less resistant to meet new people, or they will always treat him the way he treats them. Yeah, he does need to work on that, but I am determined to help him with it. Well, that's good, Ash says. What about you, he asks. I've noticed how you and your dad get along, which doesn't seem to be very good. Yeah, don't get me wrong. He is my dad, and I will always love him, but over the last couple of years, he doesn't understand me anymore. He's always working, and doesn't get me. You see, Go only came here because of me, but I had a lot more friends in Vermilion City than just him, and since my dad wanted to move us out in the middle of nowhere, I had to leave them behind. Also, Go had come to be my dad's research assistant, so it felt like I was losing everything in one move. My dad doesn't understand this, and everything we say just ends up in an argument. Well, Ash says, I think letting you go with us could be his attempt to understand how you feel. He didn't say you have to come back right away. That's true, Chloe says. You may be right. It's here we fade to a room away as those two talk, with Go, who carries a somewhat sad look on his face and a tear rolling down his cheek. The next morning, we find our new trio on a train heading north. They have been riding for a while now, with Go sitting on the opposite side of the train car, being Chloe and Ash. The two don't know what his issue is. They have tried to talk to him, but Go won't talk, so they just enjoy the ride, not letting him bring down their mood, which is most noticeable with Ash. You see, this is the first time he and Pikachu have had a chance to see Dynamaxing in full effect, as many Pokemon grow in size for brief periods of time. I can see why they call this the wild area, he says. The ride is really uneventful, except for a Snorlax that Dynamaxes while it's sleeping and blocks the track of the train. While this could have been a huge problem, with the help of Ash and his Pokémon, they were able to wake up Snorlax before the train had hit it, though the Blubber Beast was a bit annoyed at being woken up. After that, the rest of the ride is uneventful, that is, until they get to Winden Station. It is here the trio has to wait for a bit. The next train heading east isn't set for a few hours, so they decide to get some food to eat. The group finds themselves inside of a pastry shop. While there is still tension between Ash and Go, one thing they do share is a love for food, and it's shown here when they both get the biggest bag of scones they can. Sitting down outside, the group shares a moment of happiness as they gorge on the sweets. However, this is short-lived, as Go's bag slowly slides from the table. While the humans didn't see this, Pikachu does, pointing it out to Ash. With his mouth full, Ash conveys this issue to Go as they watch the bag run down the sidewalk. In a rage, Go takes off running after it, that bag being the only thing that has brought him happiness in the recent days. Before Chloe or Ash can stop him, Go is gone. With a sigh, Chloe tells Ash she will find Go. They have a few hours, so they have time. Ash says he's going to look around the city to see if he can find their friend as well. The two then split up, with Ash stuffing as many of the delicious pastries into his mouth as possible. After about an hour, Ash realizes that he and Pikachu are lost. They are in a part of the city that is very busy, outside of a massive stadium. Ash can hear a loud cheering from inside and a rumble in the ground beneath his feet. Wondering what's going on, Ash decides to ask one of the ticket vendors what's happening. What, kid, don't you know? This is the finals of the Masters 8 tournament, to crown the strongest trainer in the world. This immediately gets Ash's attention, asking if he can buy a ticket. While the vendor tells him he can, he advises against it, telling Ash that the battle is almost over, but he doesn't care. He wants in, so the vendor lets him, telling Ash he's already missed most of the action. Once inside, Ash runs to the edge of the spectators area, only to see a massive field. On it are two people. One he recognizes right away, the current champion of Kanto and Johto, Lance. Across from him stands someone that is announced as Leon, the current champion of the Galar region. The two trainers stare each other down. Without words, they choose their final Pokémon, a Charizard and a Pokémon Ash remembers all too well, the red Gyarados from the Lake of Rage. What follows has Ash and Pikachu in a trance. The two have never seen Lance battle competitively before, and to see the progress that he has made with Gyarados is amazing. On the other hand, this new guy Leon doesn't seem to be a pushover either. Though his Charizard is at a type disadvantage, it's holding its own. No, it's actually winning. This is proven when Lance enacts a very special process, one that Ash has only recently become familiar with. Recalling Gyarados, Lance's wrist begins to glow as the Pokeball grows in size. What happens next takes Ash and Pikachu's breath away, as from the ball, a mountain-sized serpent emerges. However, this doesn't affect the trainer known as Leon. With a smirk of confidence, Leon recalls his own lizard and performs the same method as what Lance had just done. From its ball, a beast descends to the battlefield. It's clearly a Charizard, but the look is different. Then it hits Ash, what Professor Cerise said about Dynamax versus Gigantamax. Here in front of our young champion is a clear example of it. Ash watches in awe as the two battle it out, both Pokemon holding nothing back, as the barriers that protect the audience can barely contain their massive energy. While the others flinch, Ash and Pikachu won't break their gaze on this clash of titans. However, this battle is over, and both transformations subside as there is a clear victor. Leon and his Charizard have taken the win. As a result, the young champion has gained the title of Monarch, the strongest trainer in the world. What follows is the coronation of this new champion, with the 8 finalists in the tournament in attendance. These are all trainers that are all well known across the Pokemon world. The 8 consist of DIDNT, the champion of Kalos in 8th place, the Tower Tycoon, Annabelle from the Kanto Battle Frontier in 7th, Drake from the Orange Islands in 6th, Juan, a former gym leader and Grand Festival winner, in 5th, Flint of the Sinnoh Elite 4 in 4th, Alder, the champion of Unova in 3rd, Lance in 2nd, and the top guy Leon as the world's strongest. They are dubbed the Masters 8, as the crowd erupts in a frenzy. Ash and Pikachu can't believe what they have seen, a worldwide tournament to see who's the very best, like no one ever was. Why hasn't he heard of this before? It doesn't matter. There's only one thing on Ash's mind, meeting the strongest trainer in the world, Leon. Our hero tells Pikachu they have to go, as the two run off into the crowd, heading to the stadium floor. However, with Ash's attention diverted, he's not paying attention, bumping into someone. "Oh, I'm sorry," he says. However, the old man says nothing, merely eyeing Ash with a stern look, only for this stranger to break eye contact and continue walking out with the crowd. What was his problem, Ash wonders? With a look of confusion at each other, our heroes shrug it off and continue their way to the battlefield, where Leon and Lance are present signing autographs. Looking at the two, Ash has a strange feeling wash over him, one that he hasn't felt since that battle. With renewed vigor, the young Alolan champion approaches the two. Lance! Leon! Meanwhile, we find ourselves just outside of the stadium, with our favorite trio of evildoers, Team Rocket. They are keeping low, waiting on the Torp. They are using him to get back to Kanto and the Team Rocket headquarters, since their communicators were destroyed in the attack with the strange birds. Now, you may be asking why they didn't just use a public phone. Well, the answer is simple. Giovanni wouldn't accept a collect call from the three, especially with international rates. So they are forced to find their own way home. It's here that Jesse and James start complaining about hunger. They haven't eaten since that nice lady gave them a bowl of stew back in Freezington. This is where James reveals that he still has some of that odd fruit that they picked from the tree. They all try to take a bite of it. However, Jesse and James find the taste of these fruits to be absolutely disgusting. They are bitter and very hard for them. But Meowth finds the fruit delectable. It's one of the best things he's ever tasted. With their appetite seemingly vanished, Jesse and James hand off their fruits to the Scratch Cat. Meowth gorges on the first one, then the second one, barely avoiding biting his paws while licking them. Meowth prepares to sink his teeth into the third fruit, but stops suddenly. What's the matter? Did you eat more than you could handle? The two Rocket Humans tease. Guys, I ain't feeling so hot, Meowth says, as his stomach begins to churn. Over on the other side of the city, Chloe has finally caught up with Go after screaming for him to slow down for the better part of an hour. The young researcher thinks he has found the culprit who has stole the delectable delights. Go follows a trail of paper and crumbs around a corner into an alleyway. Chloe is right behind him, telling Go that he needs to stop. They don't know what could be down here. However, he's not listening, only focused on the bandit that took his food. They eventually reach what looks like an end of a line, but Go is determined, searching for any signs. It's here he notices a small opening in this tightly packed alley, so small that only a tiny Pokemon or perhaps a young boy could fit through. Go pushes himself into the opening, leaving Chloe alone. Once inside, he notices that it seems to be a place that has been built over by modern windmen. The room he is in is very old, maybe 100 or 200 years. It's very run down and dark. Go then pulls out his Rotom phone to get some light in this dingy place. Though this helps, he can only see a few feet in front of him at a time. Rotom Dex begins to talk, saying it's identified a Pokemon, only for Go to mute it while looking around. What he sees is a Pokemon that Rotom identifies as Scorbunny, and what looks like 3 other Pokemon it's caring for. The decks identify them as Nickit. The 3 appear to be siblings, and Scorbunny their caregiver. Go wants to give them a good scolding for stealing his food, until he realizes that the Nickits appear to be malnourished a bit, and stops himself. Go feels bad, and turns to leave, realizing it's not that big of a deal. Unfortunately, he's not going to get that chance, as a tremor can be felt rather close. It's so close that this house that they are in begins to creak and rattle as it struggles to stay standing. However, the structure is beginning to fail as it collapses in on itself. Go's first thought is to run, but stops himself. Turning, he runs through the falling debris as the others are struggling to dodge the wall that is tumbling in on them. Go watches as Scorbunny kicks away the falling timber to little effect. The walls give in and the roof comes crashing down, with Chloe screaming Go's name outside. Over with Ash, he's only steps away from the 2 champions when he begins to feel the ground beneath his feet start to shake. This captures the attention of everyone, including Leon and Lance. They urge the people to take cover, as the source of this disturbance has become known. Ash turns to see what Leon and Lance are looking at, only for his jaw to drop. Is that, Meowth? He thinks. The giant-sized feline begins to rampage about, as if it has no mental faculties of its own. It's here that Lance and Leon take to action, sending in their 2 aces, Dragonite and Charizard. The 2 yell to other members of the Masters 8 to get people out of here as they take to the air. Seeing what's going on, Ash refuses to be left out of the action. He tells Pikachu they need to go as they run off to the front of the stadium. Outside, Jesse and James watch as Meowth rampages across the area. They can only dodge the falling debris as they attempt to help their felonious friend. However, their efforts are in vain, as Meowth appears to be supercharged. The fruit that he ate did this to him, Jesse says. I don't know what that was, but we need to figure something out. James nods as they try to get Meowth's attention, to try at least focus it At this time, Leon and Lance emerge from the stadium, pelting the cat with whatever attacks that they can. Unfortunately, nothing seems to be working. Lance inquires about this to Leon, only for the young champion to answer with a look of puzzlement. They really only have one course of action, readying their Dynamax bands. Both trainers Dynamax their respective aces. Though something appears off, this Meowth is much larger than its two opponents, swiping them down with little effort. Charizard and Dragonite do their best to keep the monstrous Meowth in place at the behest of their trainers, while they try to figure out the cause. This is where Ash emerges, only to see the complete pandemonium that is happening. Looking around, Ash sees a familiar duo panic, like they just have Durants in their pants. Team Rocket, Ash thinks to himself. The boy begins running in their direction, ordering Pikachu to use an Iron Tail to block some of the falling debris in the process. Hey, you two, what are you up to? Ash yells. Who? Us? Nothing for once. We didn't do anything. Meowth was just eating. Then he grew to this towering titan. Ash looks around and sees the fruit that Jessie is still holding. Where did you get that? Ash demands. Well, we found them in a tree, and well, Meowth ate 2 of them. Suddenly, Ash flashes back to Melmetal and the issue that it had. It was only exposed to the fruit. Meowth actually ate it. Give that to me, Ash demands. Taking the fruit, Ash tells them to stay out of the way. He will handle this. Charizard, I choose you. Ash's fire lizard emerges. Charizard, I need you to take me to those trainers over there, as Ash points about a mile to the other side of the stadium. The starter nods as Ash and Pikachu mount its back and take to the air. Meanwhile, Lance and Leon are kind of in a rough spot. Due to their high-level battle in the finals, both of their teams, and more importantly their aces, are tiring. On paper, it would seem like this is a straightforward battle, but this Meowth, there's something different about it, Leon says. Though Lance doesn't know everything about Dynamaxing, even he can see that Leon is right. Things come to a head when the worst thing that can happen does. Their Dynamaxing has reached its limit, as the giants are forced to shrink down to size. While Dragonite is unable to move, Leon's Charizard for some reason can still fight, showing a great deal of tenacity in the time of peril. This is where something strange catches the eye of the monarch. A kid on the back of his own Charizard, heading into the fray. With a crash of power, the earth beneath cracks as Ash and his Charizard lands. I know what to do, Ash yells. While Leon is unaware of this boy, Lance does recognize his former ally in the fight against evil. Ash, what's happening? The dual champion asks. That Meowth, it ate these, Ash says, presenting the fruit. This grabs Leon's attention. Where did you get those? He says in a panic. Ash says that somehow these lowlifes had them and their Meowth ate them. Then this happened. Leon explains that those shouldn't have been enough to cause growth like this. There had to be another reason. This is where Jessie and James chime in. Well, I think we can answer that. The two lead the 3 champions to an area outside of the stadium, the same one that they were in before Meowth transformed. When Meowth started to grow, it panicked and slammed one of its claws into the ground. What they reveal is a giant glowing hole. Now things make sense, Leon says. The stadium is built on a place called a power spot. It's how we use the ability to Dynamax. Your Meowth hit one of the many pipes in the surrounding Wind Stadium that is filled with Dynamax energy. In short terms, it supercharged itself with the consumption of the fruit. Now, we have to tire it out, Ash says. Well, yeah, that's the simple terms, Leon replies. But how do you know that? It happened to me recently while I was in a place called the Crown Tundra. My Melmetal went on a rampage. Luckily, me and my friends were able to stop it. We're gonna have to do it again, Leon says. With Lance out of the picture, this will be up to Leon and Ash. Ash chooses to send out some of his reinforcements, with Lycanroc, Gibble, Totodile, and Snivy. Ash tells them it's their job to make sure people are clear out of the pathways. They have to slow Meowth down. With a nod, everyone breaks, as the two mount their fire lizards and take to the sky. What follows is a demonstration that shows just how capable Ash is in a situation like this, with him commanding all of his Pokémon from the air, while Pikachu uses its long-range electric attacks to draw the attention of Meowth. Leon is impressed, using his Charizard to apply as much pressure as possible. Unfortunately, things don't last very long, as eventually, Charizard is caught in one of the swipes of Meowth and is sent to the ground with Leon on its back. This divides Ash's attention for a split second, making him a victim of Meowth's tail. This hit is much harder, as he, Charizard, and Pikachu are sent into the stadium wall. They fall to the ground right near Team Rocket, dropping the fruit that Ash was holding. While Charizard and Ash land somewhat safely thanks to the aid of Snivy and its Vine Whips, Pikachu lands right in the hole that Meowth's claws had dug, getting exposed to the Dynamax energy inside. Over with Chloe, she's digging through the rubble of the area that Go was in, frantically trying to find her friend. Luckily, she can hear him on the other side. From Go's perspective, it's dark. They can't really see anything. However, this doesn't last long, as a small but powerful light begins brightening the darkened area. It's Scorbunny, using its amber attack by kicking a few pebbles up and down. The light finally allows the group to see each other. Go is actually on top of the three Nickit, covering them with his body. There is some debris on top of him, and if he moves, it could collapse, crushing them all. Scorbunny is shocked. This human that doesn't even know them put his life on the line to save them. This is an odd feeling for the fire rabbit. Humans haven't really been kind to it or Nickit. That is why it stole Go's food to begin with. No human would dare feed them, let alone put their lives on the line for them. Go looks at Scorbunny. I'm glad you and the others aren't hurt, though you may need a bath when we get out of here. Listen, next time you want food, just ask rather than steal. I would have gladly shared some with you. This strikes the rabbit as odd. What's wrong with this human, it thinks. But they have little time for questions. Go isn't able to hold the weight up much longer and is starting to falter. The pressure is starting to mount as Go, Chloe, and Scorbunny try to figure a way out of this. Unfortunately, they are all drawing a blank. However, fortune smiles on them when a voice is heard calling out to them. It's a woman. She's telling them to stay in place. Things are going to get a little bit crazy for a moment. Wait, what Go says? But that's all I can get out, as a giant metal monster comes barreling through the rubble, covering Go and the other Pokemon, as the rest of the weight comes crashing down, with Chloe watching in horror. Back with Ash, he's in a panic, trying to reach for Pikachu. Snivy, use Vine Whip, Ash yells. The grass snake does so, but is unable to find anything. Leon watches as a now frantic Ash begins to climb down into the hole, but he suddenly stops when he feels a slight tremor. However, it's not coming from Meowth, it's coming from below. Ash watches as Pikachu begins to rapidly climb from the bottom as it expands. Ash barely has enough time to escape the crevice when Pikachu shoots out as it grows in size. What lies before our young champion is now a mountain-sized Pikachu. Ash addresses his starter, thinking that it may be rabid like Melmetal and Meowth. However, it simply responds with a very deep Pika. The electric mouse knows its trainer and his other Pokemon. Leon is amazed. He had never seen a Pokemon Gigantamax before without a Dynamax band. Ash tells Pikachu they need to stop Meowth. Turning, the Kaiju mouth accepts his commands as it stumbles its way in the feline's direction, as it's not yet used to its new body. Ash calls for a Thunderbolt. Pikachu tries to use its signature move, is unsuccessful in its endeavors. Unsure why it didn't work, Ash calls for an Iron Tail, but that too brings nothing. Ash is now concerned that something may be wrong with his Pikachu, but Leon quickly interjects that Ash needs to call for Dynamax moves when a Pokemon is Dynamaxed. Try Max Steel Spikes. Making the suggestion, Ash makes the call. Pikachu is finally able to execute an attack as a giant set of spikes slam into Meowth, throwing it off kilter. This finally gives a ray of hope. Ash, Leon yells. Try calling for a Max Lightning. Doing so, Pikachu is able to push back Meowth, with Ash feeling a little bit more confident. That is, until he realizes that Meowth hasn't lost any steam. It's still attacking. It must have gotten a saturated dose of energy. Knowing they need to keep on the pressure, Ash orders all of his Pokemon to attack. This provides more pressure in an attempt to burn out the clock of this transformation. Leon watches on, inspired by the tenacity of this kid. Looking at the exposed power spot, Leon decides that he won't be shown up by some unknown kid on the day of his victory. Over with Chloe, she begins to watch as the rubble that Go was under begins to move. From it emerges a Metagross and an Espeon. There, under the metal behemoth, Go and the small group of Pokemon sit stunned at the events that just happened. Hey, are you guys alright? A voice asks, snapping Go out of his trance. He asks who's there, only to be met with a chuckle as a girl appears. I'm Annabelle, she responds. Are you okay? I think so, Go says. But how did you know that we were under here, he asks. Oh, the little group of Nickit called out to me, so I came to help. Go attempts to thank her. That is, until he sees a giant-sized Meowth and Pikachu battling it out by the stadium. What is going on, he yells. Chloe tries to calm Go down. They need to assess the situation. Bella seconds this, telling Go they have more pressing matters. Pointing, she tells Go that one of the Nickit were hit by some of the falling debris, and it's out cold. This triggers something in Go. Suddenly, he's full of energy as he grabs the Nickits and Scorbunny. Taking off, running, Go yells to Chloe that he's going to take them to the Pokemon Center as fast as possible. Chloe gives chase, yelling at Go that he's going the wrong way, while Annabelle just watches the strange duo, wondering if she should give chase. Back with Jesse and James, they are running around frantically, telling Meowth it needs to stop this. They need to get back to the boss. However, this falls on deaf ears. The Scratch Cat is occupied by the giant Thunder Mouse that is taking it to the cleaners. The two Rocket members watch as the frustration builds in their cohort. Pikachu perceive this as another form of danger and hightail it out of their immediate area. However, what they fail to realize is that this frustration is a good thing. It's causing it to burn through the energy that flows through it. Now the problem appears that Pikachu has no time left on its transformation, and it is close to the end. Ash sees this, ordering a mass lightning, hoping it's enough. Unfortunately, it's not, and Pikachu meets the counter to its move with a max guard, stopping its assault firsthand. Pikachu is breathing hard as Meowth appears for its next attack, a G-Max Gold Rush. Ash orders a max Steel Spikes to counter in a last-ditch effort, only for it to fail as Pikachu shrinks down to its normal size. Ash catches Pikachu as it falls. With his Pokemon at his side, he watches as Meowth launches its final attack. They can do nothing but hope. Fortunately, someone is watching over them when Ash hears a command given. Max Flare! Ash turns, and there stands Leon and his G-Max Charizard. The two launch their assault, engulfing Meowth in a hailstorm of flames. Charizard, keep up the heat, Leon yells. It's here that an all-out effort from everyone pays off as a light bursts from the fire and Meowth begins to shrink. Ash runs to find the feline. However, Jesse and James are at ground zero to collect their partner in crime. Once they have the very tired Meowth in their grasp, Jesse berates the cat about the mayhem it caused and how they should have been included. But Meowth is too exhausted to listen to her rambling as it falls unconscious in her arms. Jesse wants to continue her scolding of the cat, but James reminds her that they are the ones everyone is looking for, so they need to vanish now. Reluctantly, she relents her yelling as the two run off into the shadows of destruction. Ash arrives to where Meowth should be, but there's nothing. Ash is a little upset. Team Rocket is always up to no good, and he's getting tired of it. The next time they see each other, he will have to deal with them personally. Ash's thoughts are interrupted by Leon, as he and Charizard join Ash and his Pokemon. Hey kid, that was pretty impressive out there. Tell me, what's your name? Oh, I'm Ash, from Pallet Town in the Kanto region, and this is my Pikachu, and the rest of my Pokemon. Well, Ash, I'm glad you were here to help. I don't think we could have stopped that attack without you. I only provided the distraction, Ash says. You, Leon, were the real hero. Your Charizard took that transformation 3 times. It must be some sort of super Pokemon. No, not really. Me and Charizard just like to push ourselves, the Monarch says. But you, achieving Dynamax without a band? That's something special. It shouldn't even be possible. Well, that's the second time I've done that in the last week, Ash says. Interesting, Leon says. But the tone shifts when Lance rejoins the duo, letting Leon know that they've cleared the area. That's great, Leon says. Thanks for your help. And by the way, Lance, this boy Ash is some trainer. Oh, I'm aware, the Dragon Master says. Me and Ash have a bit of history together. Really? Well, it seems I'm the only one out of the loop. The three laugh briefly before Leon shifts the tone once again, asking Ash if he has the fruit. Oh no, I dropped it. Recalling his Pokemon, Ash runs to the spot that he dropped it, but it's gone. Darn, Ash says. Team Rocket must have picked it up in the confusion. Well, that's not good. I hope that isn't the case, as those fruits are in a protected area of the Crown Tundra. It's actually illegal to pick them due to their ability to trigger Dynamaxing if ingested. That is a problem, Ash says. It's here the trio is greeted by another of Ash's former rivals, the Frontier Brain, Annabelle. Hey Ash, it's good to see you. I'm glad to see you and your Pokemon have gotten even stronger since the last time I saw you. Thanks, Ash says, but then a thought crosses his mind, to which Annabelle tells Ash that his friends are fine. They are at the Pokemon Center. They are? Ash runs off, with Annabelle yelling that they are at the Pokemon Center on the other side of Wyndon Stadium. Ash thanks the Frontier Brain as he disappears around a corner. So, you know Ash, Leon asks? Oh, I know him. And let me tell you, he's a powerful trainer. A smirk appears across the Monarch's face as he looks at his Charizard. They both seemingly having the same thought. Over at the center, Go and Chloe are in the waiting area for any word on the Nickit that Go had saved. With them is Scorbunny and the other Nickit brothers. While the Nickits are worried about their kin, Scorbunny can't break eye contact with Go, almost to say, "What's your game, human?" However, this is interrupted when Ash comes bursting through the door, calling to Go and Chloe. Hey, are you guys okay? Go is struck by this gesture. He didn't think Ash liked him, while Chloe is more accepting. She explains why they're here, and how Go saved the Nickit. Ash is relieved. Though he and Go haven't really seen eye to eye, he wouldn't want anything to happen to him. Just like Chloe had said, he's an okay guy. Just a little misunderstood. Ash sees this when he consoles the two worried foxes by telling them that when their sibling gets out, he will take them to eat all the pastries they want. This brightens the look in their eyes and is compounded when Nurse Joy comes out with the injured one. She tells them that it will be fine, though it will need a lot of rest. Go lets out a sigh of relief, thanking Nurse Joy for all of her efforts. With that, the group decides to get some food, as it has been a very high-stress day. Ash also asks Nurse Joy to check out his Pokemon while the group is eating. She has no problem with this, taking Pikachu and the rest of Ash's Pokeballs for the time being. While the group is eating, Go offers Scorbunny some food that the rabbit is hesitant to take. It feels like Go is working at an angle, as it hasn't had a great history with humans. But when its stomach rumbles, the bunny blushes as everyone giggles, while it eats a food a bit miffed about the situation. However, this laughter is short-lived, as the group has a visitor. Leon, Ash says, "What are you doing here?" "Oh, I came by here to have my team looked at by Nurse Joy. Just finished up with the search and rescue. Fortunately, no one was seriously hurt." "I'm glad," Ash says. "This could have been a lot worse, but we were able to hold out until you saved us, Leon." It's here that Leon presents Ash with a Dynamax band. "What's this?" he asks. "You see, Ash, in the Galar region, normally a sponsorship is given to a new trainer at the start of the gym season. With that sponsorship comes little perks like this, a Dynamax band," Leon says. "Well, thanks, Leon," Ash says, "but I'm not here to compete in the Galar League, so I don't think I'll be needing it." It's here that Leon takes a more serious tone. "You impressed me today, Ash. That's not an easy thing to do. I may be young, but I've been undefeated in battle for the last 5 years of my championship reign here in the Galar region, and now I've taken the world crown. I'm hungry, and I want a new challenge. I think you could be someone to challenge me once you are at my level." The look in Leon's eyes. Ash doesn't know what it is, but a feeling he hasn't felt in a while is starting to stir in him. This trainer, he's far different than anything Ash has ever seen before. With the gusto we know him for, Ash takes the band. "Okay, Leon, you want me to reach your level? Then I accept this challenge, but don't complain when I win," Ash says with a smirk. "Oh, I won't, Ash. I look forward to it." Go is watching this exchange, though he says nothing. He's beginning to understand what makes Ash tick. He may not be so bad after all, the young researcher thinks. It's here that the call is made to Ash and Leon that both of their Pokemon are ready. So the two jet off to the reception counter. On the way there, Ash asks Leon how he can get a chance to battle him. "Well, we are about to start the next season of the Pokemon World Tournament. This is a competition not bound by regions. You can enter at any Pokemon Center." "I see," Ash says, as they thank Nurse Joy for their Pokemon. "Well, I have some stuff to take care of back in Kanto," Ash remarks. "But don't worry, if this is a global tournament, then I will make sure I start battling right away," Ash says. "That's the spirit," Leon remarks. "Don't let anything hold you back," as he walks away, excited at the prospect of a new challenge on the horizon. The next morning, we find our heroes following up on the promise that Go had made to the Nickit. They are at the pastry shop, basically buying out everything that the shop owner has to sell. The owner replies that he's glad to see his business wasn't affected by the destruction of the day before. This is where Go explains about his promise, also adding that the Nickit and Scorbunny need somebody to look after them due to one of them being hurt. The owner then offers a solution to Go. He will watch the Nickit while they heal up. It's the least that he could do for his seemingly best customer. "Really? Thanks so much," Go says. "I'll tell them right away." Sitting down, Go explains what's going to happen as he hands out the food to the Nickit and Scorbunny. Again, it gives Go that look, the same one from yesterday. However, he doesn't pay it any mind, simply enjoying the moment with Ash and Chloe. After the meal, the three say their goodbyes to the Nickit and Scorbunny. They then head east out of Winden in the direction of the coast. It takes a few days, but they eventually arrive at their destination, a port that will take them to their next destination, the Orange Islands. They board the ship bound for the archipelago, and as it sets sail, Ash notices something off in the distance, an island of some sort. He can do nothing but stare until Go comes up to his and Pikachu's side. "Hey Ash, I saw the way you battled to save everyone against that Meowth. I gotta say, that was pretty awesome." "It was okay," Ash says. "You know what was really awesome? The way you saved Scorbunny and the Nickit." "Nah, that's just me doing the right thing," Go replies. Then the two share a laugh, seemingly finding a common ground with each other. While this is going down, a familiar group of wanted criminals isn't far behind Ash and the group. And as Ash's group is being watched, it seems that there is another unexpected passenger on this boat. With that being said, this is where we're going to leave things for now. So, with part 2 out of the way, I have some questions for you guys. How do you feel about the direction I've taken things so far? What was Brandon looking for in the Crown Tundra? And what do you think about the current Masters 8? Also, what's the significance of the fruit from the Dynamax tree? Let me know in the comments down below. I want to thank you all for watching the video all the way to the end. and I hope you return for a future video. But with all that being said, don't forget to hop onto my Discord if you guys want to check out other content creators or if you want help making your own content. Follow me on Twitter and you may get the opportunity to see some behind the scenes that I'm working on. Also, if you want to help support the channel further, considering become a patron or a YouTube channel member. For only $5 a month, you're going to get up to a week's early access to all of my videos, and on any tier, you'll also get the exclusive content that I'm putting out on those two platforms, which is what if I wrote the Pokemon anime. But with all that being said, it's time to sign out the video the best way we know how, by thanking the sponsors, the YouTube channel members, and the patrons. For the patrons, we have Silver Heart Soul, Robert, Andrew McCartney, Holosif, Julian Rodriguez, Ruben Watson, Lord Explosion Murder, Flyer 943, Kevin Atran, Drax, Truevolt, Adrian Carr, Dino King, Fox King, Warney Taylor, Plus Ultraman, Megar, Kendall Green, Earth Dragon, John Larson, Dylan Nicholson, Christopher Grant, Gerald Smith, Normandy 1998, Chris Lackman, Trainer Rad 164, Rowboat, Johnny, Brad 1, Ifosa Mead, Indigo Saturn 64, Kevin Malula, Chris Collins, Christian Anderson, Justin Ray, Gray Leo, Irving 14209, Dylan Wolfdog 31, Mario Pikachu, Luke Skyrunner, Flubber, JJ, Josiah Herring, Gear 100, Cameron Dicker, Blood Down, Jack, and Cami Stein. And for the YouTube channel members, we have Brian Skidmore, Hira Karina, and Nathan Zaduro. Thank you all very much for watching, and I will see you in the next video.